So we have another article here just showing the absolute depravity of this current administration towards people who are being deported. And whether you agree with immigration or the treatment of undocumented immigrants, at the very least, you should have just a general stance if you're in favor of deport them back to their country of origin. Well, that's not what the Trump administration is doing, at least in a lot of cases. We're not even going to go into CCOT right now. From NPR, judge questions government lawyers over alleged deportations to South Sudan. Stick around to the end of the video because we're going to go over the crime or just the general state of South Sudan if you are unaware. And we're also going to cover, because one of the biggest things that Republicans like to tout in this whole mass deportation push is, and they've said it verbatim in the justification for ending programs for Venezuelans and Haitians, etc. They verbatim have said this is being done to make our community safer. So we already know that they vilified, but it is there. And people need to stop falling for the narrative that all these immigrants are criminals, undocumented or not. And we're going to go over some of the statistics and studies on that here after we read the article. So stick around for that. Timestamps in the description. But again, back to my main point. If you are in favor of deportation of undocumented migrants, it should at least be to their country that they came from. Or if you're going to send them to a different country, don't send them to fucking South Sudan. What the hell is happening? Jesus. A federal judge in Massachusetts questioned the Department of Homeland Security on Tuesday about whether it had deported any migrants to South Sudan. The judge, Brian Murphy. Oh, and before I continue, there's also been talks and things about them deporting people to Libya. These aren't safe places. These aren't stable places. Had in April barred any deportations of migrants from the U.S. to countries other than their own. It's crazy that a judge has to, it's crazy that a judge even has to rule on this. Hey, if you're going to deport people, you have to send them back to their own country. How is that even a question if we're deporting them? It's crazy how lost in the sauce we are right now. Unless they are given sufficient time to contest their deportations. No. No. If you're going to deport them, send them back to their home country. Or if there's, for some reason, Haiti or some shit, which is a failed state right now with no government, maybe you should just extend their protected status and maybe just leave them the fuck alone if they're just normal people trying to live their lives. I understand criminal ones that have actually committed bad crimes, sure, get them out of here. I don't care. But for people who are just here trying to live a better life and escape poverty, poverty, failing states, violence, whatever, Jesus Christ. But but lawyers for at least one migrant originally from Vietnam, known by the initials of T.T.P. in the court case, alleged she was on his way to South Sudan in Africa, the world's youngest country. The lawyer spoke during an emergency remote hearing Murphy called on Tuesday evening. They argued that their Vietnamese client was given less than 24 hours notice of his removal and had no ability to contest it in his native language. If those facts are true, that leaves me in the uncomfortable position that the person is on their way to South Sudan in violation to my court order, Murphy said during Tuesday's hearing. Murphy ordered DHS to keep in its custody anyone deported to South Sudan or any other third country, at least until the next hearing in the case, to ensure that the practical feasibility of return if the court finds that such removals were unlawful, Murphy wrote in a brief order late Tuesday. While the court leaves the practicalities of compliance to defendants' discretion, defendants have ensured, and the court expects, that class members will be treated humanely. Lawyers from DHS and the Department of Justice said during the hearing that the destination of the plane carrying T.T.P. was classified. If you were just sending him back to somewhere normal, like his home country, Vietnam, Why would it be classified? This is the same shit they did with people that they sent to CCOT, the El Salvadorian slave labor camp, specifically Abrego Garcia. Anytime they ask for information about him, they're like, state secrets, state secret, state secret, state secret. What's so secretive about this? Why are you so hush-hush? Because you know what you're doing is grossly illegal and inhumane. But yet people are just like, as Americans, we somehow and largely in part, fully in part to Trump and his goons, Republican sycophants, have completely dehumanized people who just don't have documentation. I can understand being pissed at, the ones that actually commit crimes, but as we're going to see, they don't commit a lot of crimes. It just so happens that every time a crime is committed by a immigrant, they blow it up. They blow it up and put it all over the news cycle. They parade the one victim's mother out there all the time, which she seems to love it. And the Lake and Riley Act. Like, it's so gross what they do. It makes me sick. Because then people are like, yeah, we need to get rid of all these immigrants because there's going to be more Lake and Rileys. It's like, there's going to be Lake and Rileys anyways, because even without immigrants, there's still a lot of crime committed by U.S.-born citizens. In fact, more than immigrants, both documented and undocumented, that we will get to. It just blows my mind, and it makes me so sad to see this in our country, and hogs in my comment section defending this shit. Like, it's crazy. South Sudan endured a long civil war that killed more than 50,000 people until a fragile peace halted the fighting in 2018. Even so, political instability persists and clashes between rebels and the government continue. Many, including the United Nations, worry about the prospect of the country dipping into civil war again. Third, country deportations. The Trump administration has been negotiating with other countries willing to take people deported from the U.S. Earlier in May, the administration has sought to send migrants to Libya, as we discussed earlier, despite concerns from human rights groups about the violence there and the country's notorious human rights record. Murphy had earlier weighed in to specify that his April order barred deportations there too. The issue of whether the U.S. still has custody over migrants deported to other countries has come up in other immigration court hearings, highlighting the limits of judicial authority. Kelmar Abrego Garcia, for example, was deported from U.S. to El Salvador, despite an immigration court order barring his removal to his home country because of credible fears he'd be persecuted there. But once he arrived in El Salvador, the Trump administration has asserted he's no longer under U.S. custody and has no power to bring him back, which is absolute bullshit. Like, you think that if President Trump calls Bukele, he even admitted this, that Bukele wouldn't send him back if Trump just asked? Like, these people are just gross liars. Government lawyers at a Tuesday hearing said the people deported had final removal orders and that removals followed court orders. They also said some of the removals were accused of serious crimes. It's always accused. It's always alleged. We sent 200 alleged gang members to CCOT, even though it comes out 75 to 90% of them had no criminal records. It's a funny thing where if you're going to send people to a prison or to like anything, you're supposed to have this thing called due process. Due process. You heard of it? No. And that's why we have sent up to 75 to 90% of people who have no criminal record. And at least 50 of them, confirmed by the Cato Institute, had legal status within the U.S. Like, what the hell is happening? Migrants from Myanmar, Vietnam, and other countries who do not have legal status to remain in the U.S. received notices on Monday that they would be deported, the lawyer said. When lawyers representing detainees sought to contact them on Tuesday, officials at the Post Isabel Detention Center in Texas said that at least one person originally from Myanmar had already been removed to South Sudan, according to a declaration from their attorney. Government lawyers disputed that and said he was on his way to his home country. All right. Yeah, if you say so. Plaintiffs asked the court for an immediate order ordering the immediate return of any class members removed to South Sudan, according to documents filed in U.S. District Court in Massachusetts. The attorneys have also asked the government not to deport migrants to any country which isn't their country of origin unless they get proper written notice in enough time to contest their deportation. We shouldn't be sending anyone, like I said, especially to these like shithole, like dangerous ass countries. Like, oh my God. They argue that the Trump administration's actions to deport their clients also violate the judicial order barring deportations to such third countries without adequate due process. Third countries taking in migrants from the U.S. include El Salvador and Mexico. The Department of Homeland Security deported more than 200 Venezuelan migrants to El Salvador earlier this year, which we have covered in depth. It argued that some of the men were members of the Tren de Aragua gang and could be deported using the Alien Enemies Act, an obscure wartime law that allows for quick removals. The Trump administration also paid El Salvador $6 million to house them. So let's look at immigrant crime statistics, because putting aside the fact that these are human beings and the overwhelming majority of them are just normal people trying to live a better life and aren't criminals, and they just want to live a better life. They are like you and me. Let's look at some of the crime statistics, since this is what Republicans like to hammer away on, because immigrants are so dangerous and they're making our communities unsafe. So I prompted, please list immigrant crime statistics and studies followed by the same for our economy. Immigrant crime statistics. Key findings. Lower crime rates among immigrants. Research consistently shows that immigrants, including undocumented individuals, are less likely to commit crimes than native-born Americans. This trend is observed across various crime categories and geographic levels. Decline in crime amid rising immigration between 1980 and 2022. As the immigrant population in the U.S. has more than doubled, the overall crime rate decreased by 60%. Texas-specific data. In Texas, the only state that tracks arrest by immigration status, undocumented immigrants are significantly less likely to be arrested for violent property and drug crimes compared to U.S.-born citizens. Incarceration rates. Immigrants have consistently lower incarceration rates than native-born individuals, a trend that has persisted for the past 150 years. Border Patrol data in the fiscal year 2024, U.S. Border Patrol arrested 17,000 individuals labeled as criminal aliens, a term that includes those with prior convictions. This figure represents a small fraction of total apprehensions and does not indicate higher crime rates among immigrants. Man, they didn't include my favorite study. My favorite study, I forget where it was from, was that it showed that the more immigrants, like if you have a random influx of immigrants into a community, crime actually goes down. Crazy. And then just a quick on the economy, because, somewhere buried there's economic arguments. So labor force participation. As of 2024, immigrants comprise of approximately 19.2% of the labor force, while participation of nearly 67%, surpassing the 62% of native-born workers. That's crazy. Damn. Tax contributions, 2023, immigrant households contributed nearly $90 billion in federal, state, and local taxes, with undocumented immigrants alone paying $89.8 billion. And a lot of these that they're paying into is stuff like Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid that they are not eligible to collect in majority of cases. Housing market impact. Immigrant households paid over $167 billion in rent and held more than $6.6 trillion in housing wealth in 2023, revitalizing neighborhoods and contributing to the housing market. I don't even want to hear, like, if we kick them out, it'll solve our affordable housing problem. No, it won't. No, it won't. No, it won't. And if you want me to go into detail on that, just chirp in the comment section down below. Entrepreneurship and innovation. Nearly 25% of entrepreneurs in the U.S. are immigrants. Additionally, immigrants or their children founded about 46% of Fortune 500 companies. When people like me say that immigrants literally built this country, it's true. Like, I'm not lying. Support for social programs. Immigrants play a crucial role in sustaining programs like Social Security and Medicare by contributing taxes while often receiving fewer benefits, if any, mind you. GDP reduction. Mass deportations could decrease the U.S. I didn't even ask for this. Could decrease the U.S. GDP by up to 7.4% by 2028. Labor shortages. Key industries like agriculture and construction would face significant labor shortage, is leading to increased costs and potential job losses for U.S.-born workers. Inflationary pressures. Deporting large numbers of immigrants could raise prices by up to 9.1% by 2028 due to reduced labor supply and increased production costs. Impact on higher education. Strict immigration policies have led to the decline in international student enrollment, threatening $43 billion in annual contribution to the U.S. economy from this group. And we're already running a bit longer than I wanted to as far as video, so I'm going to skip the stuff on South Sudan's crime rate specifically, because the NPR article did cover it. What you need to know, it is a dangerous place. It is on the brink of civil war, which some would probably still call it. It's still in a civil war because there's still like active fighting between random opposition groups to this day. and like civilian infrastructure to the like right now is just almost non-existent. So yeah, we shouldn't be sending people there. But we need to stop with this notion of, yeah, let's keep cheering on immigration and this is what I voted for, and ask yourself, is this improving my life? Is this going to make my healthcare more affordable? Is this going to make groceries more affordable? Is this going to make me have a livable minimum wage? Is it going to make our infrastructure better? No, it's not. Is it going to make housing more affordable? No, that problem is by like an insane amount of all like available residential properties are owned by greedy ass fucking realtors and these mega wealthy companies. And like, we just need to build more houses. Like, anyways, stop letting them lie to you and fearmonger. It's a distraction. It's a scapegoat, just like with trans people, just like with the able-bodied people just sitting on their couch collecting Medicare and Medicaid. They want you to fight amongst each other while they get to run out the back door with all the money and do things and implement policies that objectively make your life worse. Like, for every problem, you can connect it to some greedy, wealthy asshole. Why are wages so shit? Because rich-ass corporations would rather have larger profit margins and give their CEOs millions and millions of dollars in salary and millions and millions of dollars in bonuses. And of course, they've been lobbying against increasing the minimum wage. I wonder why. And why is healthcare so expensive? Why is it the number one cause of bankruptcy in the U.S.? Is it immigration? No. No, it's because of private health insurance companies where their only profit motive is denying you health care. That's how they make money. And obviously, they fiercely lobby against any legislation which would make healthcare more affordable. And why can't we have free public higher education? Aside from the fact that conservative-leaning people are like, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Don't go there if you can't pay for it. Or we can't afford it. I don't want my tax dollars paying for someone else's education. Stupid shit like that. And of course, it's in the interest of private universities to keep things as they are. It's just so insane that the problems that really face our country are so obvious, but yet we get caught up in this like culture war, fucking just like fighting a class war amongst ourselves when we need to realize that it's 1% of the people up top that are making our lives like this and are instigating this little fighting we're doing within each other. Jesus Christ. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I will see you in the next one. If you made it to this point in the video, I just want to give a special thank you. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button down below, and if you really enjoyed it, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button while you're down there. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. I will try to reply to any and all comments that I can. Until next time, watch that video on screen.